And we start off with this story that has been leading since yesterday. Deputy President Paul Mashatile will now visit the family of his predecessor, David Mabuza, in Mpumalanga to pay his last respects. Mabuza died in hospital at the age of 64. He served as the Deputy President of the country from 2018 until 2023, when he stepped down, making way for Mashatile. President Cyril Ramaphosa has hailed Mabuza for his work in consolidating relations between South Africa and its closest partners during his tenure as the Deputy President. Mashatile says taking over the role has not been an easy task. He says that Mabuza's work and contribution will outlive him. We take you live now to Mbombela in Mpumalanga, where Mabuza's comrades and former colleagues are sharing their memories of the late leader. Newzroom Afrika's Mweli Masilela now joins us live. Mweli, a very good morning to you. I wonder what sort of preparations are underway in terms of the memorial services that could be held by the various organizations affiliated to the ANC, but from a government perspective as well. What do we know at this point?
Aldrin, what we know at this present moment is that indeed the government of Mpumalanga is still trying to make some preparations in as far as their contribution is concerned after the passing of the former Deputy President David Mabuza. You will know that he spent many years here at this building just behind me. This is the government complex where he spent those number of years as a Premier of Mpumalanga from 2009 up until 2018. And he's remembered here by those who worked with him both in the ANC as well as in government. Some of those I spoke to, for example, when you look into people like Peter Nyoni, those are some of the people who is now the Deputy Director General here in the government complex. They are saying that he made a huge contribution in as far as education is concerned. You'll know that in Mpumalanga now there's quite a number of boarding schools that have been built across the province. So those children who were actually coming from far-flung areas and farming communities, they had to now attend to these boarding schools because it was difficult for them and they were living under difficult conditions before. But also that's a sentiment that has come strongly from the side of the executive here at the Mpumalanga provincial government. The Premier, Mandla Ndlovu, actually in a statement released by the provincial government, also emphasizing that he did play a huge role in bringing development to his home province, but also a man that has been known for promoting unity within the party. But of course, Aldrin, you'll know that there's different interpretations of that. You'll remember 2017 to the build-up, in the build-up to that national conference of the ANC, there were actually quite a number of conversations in as far as the issue of unity is concerned, because here in Mpumalanga there were strained relations within the tripartite alliance, especially with the then secretary of the SACP in Mpumalanga, Bonagale Machuba, who actually interpreted that unity to be fear in his own words because of what was transpiring in the province. But many indeed believe that there is a lot of good that was done by the former president, especially when you look at senior citizens of the province. Many of them have got houses that were built through his partnership as a government leader and the private sector. We've been going to areas like Barberton where he's been handing over those houses. And looking also on social media, there are graduates actually speaking out to say that it has been a huge loss for them also because they didn't have money to go to university, but he came in through his foundation, the David Mabuza, to pay for funds. But he went even beyond that. While other students were struggling in terms of laptops, he was able to provide to some of those students. But looking into the ANC itself, Aldrin, you will know that many people still believe that he was one person who was very firm within the party, and they believe that the ANC was more united in Mpumalanga under his leadership because he was considered as someone who was very decisive. And if some people or some other members of the ANC actually raised problems about other leaders. He's someone said to have been in a position to call those that people are complaining about, sit with them and actually discuss as to what will be the way forward. If he believes that you need to be removed in that particular position, that's what he did. But also, he wasn't only focusing on the provincial as well as regional leadership. When you listen to those who worked with him, they are actually saying that he knew each and every branch secretary and he had their names and numbers. So if it was time for him to, if a need arose for him to talk to them, he was able to do so. So those are some of the sentiments coming from the people on the ground, Aldrin. But later on, we'll speak to the chairperson of the ANC in Mpumalanga as well as the premier of this province, because he's one person he worked with from 2015. He was actually the secretary under that tenure of David Mabuza as he actually came back to power for a third term. So we will hear as to what are the plans going forward. But we went to his home in Barberton where we saw some of those people coming through. But you'll know that that area is considered as a national key point. So they don't want people to come closer, too close at the home at the present moment. But we understand that maybe later on we will be able to go there and speak to some of those people who are coming in for those tributes, Aldrin.